So what's better, financing a vehicle or buying it cash? Of course, not everybody can just buy it cash. But I mean, it depends. Like if, and this subject, I thought about this subject because we had discussions with other people, where some people really believe in not getting in debt to buy it cash, not having payments, not paying interest. But what that would do to you, or what that does, is you have to be realistic, and you're not gonna get I mean, depending on your situation, you're probably not getting the $20,000 car that you could if you would have financed it. So I mean, there are many different ways to look at it.
Right. Yeah, I think it really depends on a personal situation, uh, based on what you can afford, based on how much cash you have available if you're considering buying a car. Um, so also what type of vehicle you're looking for, because if you talk to a financial advisor, they're gonna tell you not to buy cash most likely because I mean, why would you buy a depreciating asset just 100% cash if you could borrow the money at very very low interest? I don't know. There are a lot of different ways you can approach this, but
Right.
also, if you are in the situation where you are a person with really bad credit, that cannot get a low interest rate, that you're probably looking at 28% interest rate, and the payments are going to be very high, and you're gonna pay the car 3 times,
Yeah, you're gonna pay a lot of interest.
and maybe you have, I don't know, $3,000 cash that you can definitely find something reliable. That's where you gotta make your decision and see
Right.
what's the best for you. Obviously, the smarter route is just gonna be to buy cash.
Right.
Um,
But not necessarily, because I mean, yes, but no, because there's another thing that you have to, or that I've thought about it. Maybe you do have that option. It's smart with the budget that you have right now and everything, but that route, you won't be fixing. That's like a band-aid. You won't be fixing your credit for the future.
true.
So you're buying it cash. Yes, you have a car. You have no payments. That's smart. But once that car is done or whatever, your credit's still the same. Your credit's still bad
Yes,
to get a better interest rate.
yes. But if we're talking about fixing the credit, there are a lot of different ways you can fix your credit.
Right. You could do it
And statistically, if you have bad credit, it's because you don't have a
history of making.
and making payments. So it's just putting yourself again to make the same thing again.
Right.
And it could end up being worse. You get another repo, or you cannot afford the payments, all that stuff. So yeah, different point of views.
Depends on
But
because if you have, maybe you have, I think the best way to talk about it is with a real example, because then you see the options. So let's say I have
Yeah.
$10,000. I have $10,000 in cash available, and I need a car.
would you buy a $10,000 cash?
Exactly.
Or,
That's when
maybe
the
buy something nicer for like 30 grand.
that's when the difference in people come, because I have the 10 grand, and maybe I can get a car cash that is worth 10 grand. That's one option. I can go ahead and try to finance a nicer vehicle that
And
is
newer.
worth maybe 20 grand, and I give a down payment, and I will be paying interest, and I'll be paying more. There is another option that I could still get a cheaper car than 10 grand, or maybe a 10 grand car, but I decide, or a cheaper car than 10 grand, but I decide to finance it instead of buying it right out cash, because maybe I can put the 10 grand to work, that it's gonna get me more than what I'm paying on the interest on the loan or of the car or whatever.
Right.
So,
Like make an investment or something.
exactly. Maybe I
Start
use
a business
I
or
use
something.
2 grand to buy a crappy car or a regular car cash, but I use the rest of the money. Maybe I have something like I can start a business, or I can do something that will generate me more than what the interest is.
Right.
So that's another way to think about it.
What
But
would you
if
do?
I mean, like I said, it's depending on the person. I think I would try to do that route. If I have the 10 grand, I would buy the cheapest car that I can get, that can get me going, that I know it's not going to break down. You know, the cheapest car, maybe 2 grand, 1,500, something like that. And then I will try to find, to put my money to work somehow. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that way, I'm not paying the interest on the car. I'm putting the money to work, and I don't have the payments or anything, because you could do it even getting into a loan and putting half the money on a loan for a car, and half the money
Yeah.
you put it to work. But then the smart thing to do is this one needs to work more than
Right.
what you're paying.
But realistically, most people won't do that.
Right. That's
the reality.
that's
Yeah.
what I would do. But yeah, most of the people, I don't know, like if they buy the car cash, 2 grand, the rest would be in the bank.
I think that's no. Actually, most people will just buy the whole thing or buy a new car
Buy the 10 grand
on it, or
on
even
a
a
car?
new car. I mean, you got to look at every situation. Obviously, also every person is different. Like that's what you will do. That's probably what I will do too. But most people don't even know where to put the money in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it takes
Yeah,
work.
not everybody
It
can
takes
start a business.
it takes work to it takes time to do the research, like, oh man, what I'm gonna do with this $8,000 I have extra, or $7,000, whatever. It takes work, and takes research, knowledge, and all that. In my opinion, I'll say that's the smartest thing to do, obviously. But that's not what people will do, honest, like
So
most of the people.
let's flip it.
Let's be more realistic.
Let's say that you have the 10 grand, you need a car, but you won't be putting your money to
Yeah.
you won't invest or work it. What would be the smart thing to do there?
Because at that point, like if you have 10 grand, you can, even with bad credit, you can get in like a brand new car.
Mhm.
So I guess that would be a very good example, because you can either go quote unquote low profile and buy a used car, or you can also go big, and buy a brand new car. Because I'm sure even if your credit is really crappy, with 10 grand, you can get in a 30,000, maybe a $40,000
Right.
truck, because you're putting a very large percentage down. That reduces the risk for the bank, and most likely they'll give you an approval. If that was me in that situation, I wouldn't go for the new car, because I will be paying. It will be the stupidest thing to do, because you will be paying money, high interest. Your payments will probably be high,
Right.
and you're paying the depreciation like a mofo. If
Yeah.
if that was the case for me, I would just go and buy a used car cash.
For 10?
yeah, for 10 or less, something that I like, 10 grand, I think I can find a lot of cars
Yeah.
right now that I would like. Not just something just to get any car, but, for 10 grand, I think I be able to find something that I would like. Um, Obviously, you have to keep in mind that um, having a used car is gonna, require some repairs down the road as compared as to buying a used car. I mean, a new car, you'll have probably factory warranty and all that stuff, so you don't have to worry about that. But even if the worst thing happened, like the engine blows or something with a used car, I think you're still gonna be better off buying a used car
Yeah.
cash than going for a new car and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
The depreciation
It's
on a new car
ridiculous.
it's way too tough. It's
Too
even
much.
tougher. It's even tougher than repairs on an older
It
car.
costs way too much. Yeah. Honestly.
Repairs on a car, you can find your way around. You can
Yeah.
do it with a friend. You can find out a way to quote unquote escape or minimize that cost. The depreciation cost, you cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's
There's
just
no
just
way.
happens.
Unless you buy the car like extremely cheap, like somehow, but
Right.
there is no realistic way to like do it. But that's just a smart thing to do. Obviously, I mean, if you still want to finance it, the dealer is gonna sell it. We will sell it to you.
Right.
I mean, we don't mind, and I guess we're going against what we do.
Right.
I can still sell your car cash at the end of the day. But if you were asking for advice or recommendation, that's what I will do. Just buy cash.
And you most definitely are gonna get a better price if you pay a cash
Yeah.
at a dealership.
And also if you're concerned about building the credit, you can do a loan to yourself. A lot of banks and credit unions do that. That you have the money available, that you put like a secure, deposit, and they issue a loan, and then you pay yourself back, and that's gonna help you build your credit. So
Right.
there are a lot of ways. If you're concerned about the credit, there are a lot of ways to benefit from making payments and
Right.
all that stuff. So yeah, it's a very
One
tough.
to one.
Yeah, it's very difficult topic to have one good answer.
Yeah.
Because it depends on every personal situation.
Yeah. I guess it's a one to one. You would have
Yeah.
to like
Case by case.
have the okay, what are you trying to do? What is your condition?
Right.
And then that's when you'll be able to give a knowledge, a good advice. But yeah, it's tough to give a broad advice because you don't know what people
Yeah.
are going through, what they can do with that
Right.
money or anything.
Because what if you have someone with really good credit, but only has 1,000 cash? It's either you buy a car for $1,000 or you finance a car.
Right.
I mean, most likely, I'm sure you can find a decent running car for $1,000. But I mean, how long is it gonna last?
Right.
What you need it for? If you drive long distances, for work and all that stuff, it's not gonna be too reliable. It's not gonna be a good decision for you.
Yeah. Because
For
in
your
that case,
scenario.
the cost of repairs are gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But in the other hand, you could, if you're in that situation, you could just not get a new car, finance a car,
A
an
used
used car. You if you have good credit, you'll get a good interest rate. Maybe you're not killing yourself
Right.
that much. Of course you're gonna pay some interest, but maybe 3%
Right.
or 2.5, something like that.
Or buy a car with a credit card.
Right.
That a lot of banks, they do like a no interest, 1 year
1 year.
interest credit card. If you get like a $5,000 or $10,000 credit limit, you can buy a credit card. I mean, a car with your credit card, and then quote unquote you're gonna be financing the car because you'll be making the payments to the credit card at no
But
interest.
no
So
interest.
that's a great way to do it. Um, but obviously not everybody qualifies for the no interest
Yeah.
credit card and not high credit limits and all that stuff. So
There is, I mean, I guess the to end it is, it's hard to give advice, a broad advice that fits everyone. You really need to evaluate your situation, your personal situation. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? How much money do you have? Could you do something with that money, or are you just gonna spend it or leave it at the bank? Uh, yeah, take a look at all of the things, and maybe even ask yourself, do I really need a fancy car? Do I
right,
really need a $30,000 cars, or I just want it to look cool?
right.
Yeah.
So,
So
well, we would love to hear the your questions. If you're debating on, if you're listening or watching this, and you're actually in this situation, something similar that you would like any type of suggestions, what we will recommend, let us know. Send us a message or leave a comment. Our Instagram is EZ Auto Lakeland, and we're very proactive. We reply to everybody. Feel free to send us a message, or on Facebook, on our Facebook page, which is EZ Auto Lakeland as well. You can find us there, and you can ask us any question, and we'll give you our most honest suggestion and what we will recommend. Okay.
that's right.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.